Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. This news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and streaming around the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Information Minister designate Fatimata Abubakar justifies reappointment of Ken Ofori-Atta and gives insight into what Ghanaians should be expecting as the president readies to present his last but one State of the Nation address. She says security and economy will feature heavily. Also, we are tired of lip service. Unions in education, NAT, NAGRAT and others serve notice they will no longer allow themselves to be deceived in this election year. We'll bring you details. And quite later, leader of Movement for Change, Alan Chematin, begins day 2 of his Greater Accra region tour. We have updates from other candidates as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, no expectation of the extraordinary. That's the verdict of the penultimate State of the Nation address by labor unions ahead of President Akufo-Addo's speech tomorrow. The update, which has become an avenue to make new promises while taking stock of the progress made, has also become synonymous with swipes at political position. But after nearly 8 years, the question largely for many, including organized labor, ahead of the address is what they expect. Increase in taxes has impacted the meager earnings of workers. President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, King Ali Awudu, President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Angel Kabanu, and General Secretary of the National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musa Tanko, spoke to 3FM.
Unemployment has gone so high. How can you say that you have managed the economy in such a way that things have improved when people have no jobs? Prices of goods and things have gone up.
I don't have too much hope and expectation in what the president is going to address the nation on. I don't. I mean, the situation is getting dire and dire by the day. Value of incomes are dwindling by the day.
All is not well with us. So we are currently with the IMF, meaning we are currently at the intensive care unit.
And you heard the representatives of those coalitions there. Well, some of you have also been sharing your expectations with us.
My expectation is 0 because it's not going to tell us anything good. I mean, the old things. There's nothing new that he's going to say. For me, there's nothing. So Ghanaians shouldn't expect nothing but 0, how do you call it? 0 State of Nations address.
The thing is that he will solve the emerging problem that is facing Ghanaians now, the economic problem of the country, and then job employment, and that is my expectation.
Well, I want him to say like something about job, because in Ghana there is no much job in Ghana, and so I want him to bring different kind of jobs so that the youth in the Ghana will get something so that they'll be doing it.
Tomorrow, since we are in the election year, we are expecting that we will get a booming of the economy. When it comes to jobs, the young ones will get. When it comes to the financial aspect, to the dollar rate, the fuel that has gone high, the educational aspect, and then when it comes to the companies also that are pressing hard to survive, the president can speak to us and then make things normal for us. At least this election year, we should see something better. The wahala is too much.
Some of you there sharing your expectations with us ahead of the State of the Nation address tomorrow. We'll hear from the Information Minister designate shortly. But unions in education, NAT, NAGRAT and Coalition of Concerned Teachers have served notice to all political parties that teachers will no longer accept lip service from ages of the elections. According to the leadership of the unions, various political leaders have taken them for granted, claiming to be providing accommodation and other opportunities for teachers, which have all turned to be a deception. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Tanko, was addressing a news conference in Accra.
What we are saying today, and particularly going to the next 1 year, is that our story and our demands, what we want, is in this particular document. If you want to do business with us, please take the document and look at it. And the moment you incorporate what we have here in your manifesto, be ready to hold you accountable to it. Day and night until you deliver all the things you have promised to do. And it also stands to reason that if you do not agree to it, it means that you are not ready and committed to all the thematic areas we raised. It means that you are out. You are out. So these are our demands. And we are not waiting for somebody to come and tell us that I will do A or I'll get you bagu in the morning, get you fufu in the No. No, we know the diet we want. We know our health. We know the teachers, we know our health. And we know the food that is good for our health. And our diet is this. That is what we want is in this particular document. And remember, the Constitution of Ghana provides that the people who are in charge, they are doing so for and on our behalf, because sovereignty resides in the people, and they are doing so in our welfare. Okay, they are doing so to take care of us. And what we want is here. They can make all their promises. We don't begrudge them. That is why that's a political space. They can say so. But we being teachers, and for all these years, we are saying enough is enough. I repeat, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Our demands are here. And the media, once again, that is how we mentioned here. Don't gather tomorrow and call me and ask me, the minister said, what do I do? Please, when we leave here, since we are working together, tell them that your children and the people from whom the sovereignty resides, they are saying that, please, these are their demands. What do you have to say? Take it.
I'm now joined by our Labour Affairs correspondent, Daniel Opoku, who was at the news conference for us. Daniel, what more can you tell us as regards what the teacher unions have been saying?
Right, so good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you, Beatrice. Other issues that the teacher unions have been looking at is the teacher factor, which they have captured it amply in their documents where they're presenting it to the various political parties, looking at the need for the various political leaders to really capture it clearly in their manifesto how they are going to support the teachers in terms of remuneration, in terms of trying to implement their conditions of service. There are also other areas about infrastructure, which they believe over the years the various political leaders have paid lip service to infrastructure. And one major policy which they talked about has to do with the free SHS program, which is being implemented by this MPP government. Now, the various teacher unions of the view that if any political party would want them to support that political party, then clearly that political party should come very clear and should be ready to engage them for them to table their major concerns, but not for the political parties to sit somewhere and decide what they think will be better or good for the teacher members of the various unions. That's what they're asking the political leaders to engage them and also get to know their concerns.
Indeed. So that's like a warning ahead of December 7. But we also do know that there have been some issues on the Labour front. And at a point, they were even threatening to go on strike. Can you bring us up to speed on where they are with their issues?
Right, so if you will recall, the unions have been talking about conditions of service, and there are issues also about pensions, which they are part of the bigger body of organized labor, and those things are yet to be addressed. As I speak to you, when it comes to the issue about pensions, the government has paid up to last year, it's June, and so now those amounts have not been paid. And also teacher remuneration, talking about capitation grants, which has been arranged for 3 terms, and also transfer grants. All these things have been arranged. So consistently, they have been engaging the Ghana Education Service to get the issues addressed. Another issue has to do with the laptops, the various teacher unions, where you have a body called NOTOC. NOTOC is Ghana National Association of Teachers on Campus. They also raised concerns last week, and the understanding we have is that government is trying to get the various laptops to them. And also 20% has been, which the unions engage the Ghana Education Service for government to put in place for teachers who work in the private areas. These are the things that they have tabled before the Ghana Education Service, and also these are some of the things captured in that document that they're presenting to the various political leaders. Currently, because of the engagement with the various key stakeholders, they have decided to not to lay down their tools, but rather to continue with the dialogue. But in case the dialogue fails, then obviously they may have to resume their decision, possibly to go back to go on strike or lay down their tools. But as I speak to you now, because of the engagement, they have suspended that decision.
Thank you very much, Daniel Opoko. He's our Labour Affairs correspondent. Thank you for bringing us those details. We'll still bring you some more later on this very issue and the state of the nation. But ahead of that, Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Susu, has justified his private member's bill on maternity and paternity leave, as well as zero rating of tax on sanitary parts, arguing that it's about time such issues were prioritized in the country. Speaking to the press after the rescheduling of a stakeholders forum on the bill in Parliament today, Mr. Susu indicated that he will not relent on his advocacy.
It's an extension of the maternity leave from 3 months to 4 months, as well as provide for what I call related matters in respect of maternal health or menstrual health, maternal health, as well as a consideration of the bill to remove the 15% import tax from parts has been rescheduled for Monday, the 4th of March 2024. Now, this rescheduling has become very necessary because, as you are all aware, tomorrow is the State of the Nation's address. And so, as part of preparations towards the nation's address by the President, there are some few logistics challenges that we have around that has allowed us to reschedule the event to next week, Monday, the 4th of March 2024. But I must say that I am really excited to see the number of stakeholders that came out today, despite the fact that the notice to reschedule was very, very short. I can see a lot of stakeholders still in very, very high spirits to ensure that we all push for this very, very critical amendments to our laws. And as I would always say, fighting for just, free and fair societies do not just happen. I mean, you must have determined number of people who are willing to sacrifice and keep pushing the limits until it happens. This bill on maternal, I'll say parental leave for all, was initiated somewhere on the 23rd of October 2023. And it has since received a lot of support from almost all the major stakeholders, Amnesty International, Oxfam, several organizations and institutions that believe in gender parity or bridging the gender gap, who have all supported this. In fact, there are several amendments and several proposals since we initiated this bill. It's gone through the processes in Parliament. The drafting department of Parliament has caused what they call the fiscal impact analysis. Parliament has confirmed to us that the bill has no fiscal impact, and so it is good to pass, and it could be passed through a private member's initiative. And so today was going to be the day that would have, have all the perspectives to the bill before it moves to the next stage. And I'm happy that despite the fact that we couldn't do it today, next week Monday, we'll still have the opportunity.
And that was Francis Xavier Susu, MP for Medina. If you heard him there, let's cross over now to our political desk correspondent, Duke Menso Poku. Duke, if you can hear me, what more can you tell us?
So basically, I mean, the expectations of stakeholders have been cut short because the event which was supposed to fine-tune the bill, get civil society and other interested in this private members bill to meet around the table and make input into what finally would appear on the floor for corrections and finally enactment. Yes, because of national security concerns, if you'd like, it has been postponed and is rescheduled to next Monday, the 4th of March, 2024. And it's also refreshing to note that the Member of Parliament indicated Parliament has conducted a fiscal impact assessment on this private member that is supposed to zero rate taxes on sanitary tax, as well as making provisions for extension of maternity leave and the introduction of paternity leave, which would mean that it does not run amok or contrary to what the Constitution stipulates. The private members' bill should not have impact or should not have financial consequences on the consolidated. So a big disappointment for civil society groups and the sponsors of the bill, but the national security, we're told, has taken over the premises of Parliament for security concerns as the President ready to present his penultimate State of the Nation address to the country.
Thank you very much, Duke Opoku Mensa there, bringing us update on that. Let's return to our first story about the State of the Nation address and what the Information Minister designate is saying. We'll actually be bringing you that very shortly after this break, so don't go away.
Freezer, get the abba. Adama for the abba. A freezer. Adama, a quick question. Adamo, Adama. Make him so, my sorry. Can you know? Over Moasia. I do for the Nobium Unum and San Last 9. I tell what we are here. Adama for Adna Kuafon who said, yet the Adruba Cope, ever ship we be a high technology. I could for freezer. When Kwan, and once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what's ya, no fugum. What the bus here, if we be any of us give you, equity self, over Timono. Then we sure say, women show task here. Then what's enough for now? Freezer, when up a day. Freezer,
Dacia, a person does so among Amoniaji.
Omtina me, Miwasika, Omtina me, but you may not do some doom. Adama, with that Adama, no queer. Adama, you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for a dream, you will be a tongue cry on you. I feel Kayona Kinkai in Choya, a dream.
And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM with me, Beatrice Adu. Let's bring you that news about what the Information Minister designate is saying about the State of the Nation address presentation by the President. And she says that that's Fatimatu Abubakar. She says the President will center heavily on security and the Ghanaian economy in his address to the nation tomorrow. Take a listen. We'll bring you that later, but also she's also been justifying the reappointment of Ken Ofori-Atta, who was then the finance minister, but now has a different position.
His capacity to guide, to advise in the financial sector is not lost just because he's no longer finance minister. If his skills are required elsewhere and the president believes he can help us with some negotiations or can advise, I don't think there should be a big problem about that.
You think his reappointment is justified because he's qualified for it?
Of course.
But again, in this same period, over 80 MPs of the same government did not think that he was using the supposed competence and skills you talk about, which you say he used to manage the economy in good times. They didn't think that he used that to help us join the economy, during the economic crisis.
I'm saying that if you listen, even with the majority, if you listen to their press conferences, the interviews that some of them gave, which I watched a few, they were not saying that he should be removed because he lacks capacity. They were saying that the difficult times that we have gone through, the public sentiments must be listened to.
And you heard Fatimatu Abubakar. She is the Information Minister designate. Now, management of the 4 radio stations in Boko, which were shut down by the National Communications Authority, have said that the manner in which the regulator carried out the exercise is unfair, unconstitutional and disappointing. They're calling for the intervention of the National Media Commission and Ghana Journalists Association. The affected stations are Boko FM, Source FM, Zara FM and Guma FM. The exercise was reportedly carried out last Saturday amid heavy military protection following a recommendation by the Upper East Regional Security Council. Let's listen to what the managers have been saying.
Security apparatus together with the National Communication Authority, NCA, stormed our station here, stopped our transmission and took away our transmitter. And they left us with this particular notice from the National Media Commission. The content of this particular notice is shocking to us because we are not part of the quagmire. Yes, we read everything all right. In fact, National Communication Authority are our superiors. They are our regulators, and they have every right to ensure that there is sanity in the media space. But we expect that they do it with thorough investigation.
That we made some comments and things that has resulted to the loss of lives and properties. But Source FM, we don't do that. When you come here, Source FM will have a program lineup, and our program lineup, every presenter goes with that program lineup. That as a presenter, you don't need to go outside what is being scheduled for you to do. So we go with our program lineup, and there's no program here that talks about conflict in Boku, that talks about who owns Boku, that talks about who is the key for Boku. But we have radio stations in Boku that talks about this kind of things. So if MCA said they have monitored, they will have come out with a concrete reason, with the concrete results that no, Source FM has no program that talks about who owns Boku, who is the key for Boku, or say to insult elders and tribes and call them villagers, insult chiefs. Source FM doesn't do that. Anyone who has that kind of evidence or audio to show that, yes, we sit here to talk about that, can prove to us. For 6 good months, we suspended one of our colleagues. And the reason was that whenever he do the news, he was a news broadcaster, local news broadcaster. Anytime he does it, his colleagues or our...
He can go ahead and close the radio station, but that would not solve the Boko conflict. The drivers of the conflict, they know it is chieftaincy. And none of the radio stations in Boku is related to the chief, what do I call it? Have interest in the in the chieftaincy issues. None of the managers or the station owners. So it is wrong what they have done.
And you heard the managers of the 4 radio stations which have been shut down by the National Communications Authority speaking earlier to our correspondent in the Upper East region. We head to Parliament now, where the flag bearer, actually on the political campaign trail, where the flag bearer of the NDC is proffering a solution to nurses' unemployment and migration with a deliberate policy to sign bilateral agreement with countries for them to work on contract basis. Speaking to student nurses in Damango, John Mahama also assured of creating a desk at the Employment Ministry to tackle the menace.
It's not a bad thing. Migration is not a bad thing. I'll give you an example. Philippines is producing enough health workers for their own use and producing more for export. And so you go to other countries, Philippines has agreements with them, and their excess health professionals, they send them to those other countries to work on fixed contracts. You might get a contract for 5 years to go and work and come back. And that brings remittances to Philippines of almost $30 billion a year. It's not only health professionals, they also send teachers. They send seamen if you go around the world, Filipino seamen are the most in the world. And yes, Philippines shipping fleet is just a small fleet. And yet they produce seamen for the rest of the world. And so we want to increase the production of health workers and nurses. And we will employ them to work for us, as many as we can. But at the same time, we will sign agreements with other countries where we can post our nurses and health workers to go and work on fixed contracts and come back.
And you heard the former President John Mahama, who is also the flag bearer of the opposition NDC going into the 2024 polls. Komla Klucher is with him. He joins us live. Komla, what more has the former president been saying? Let me ask you two questions in one, and what the general acceptance of his presence there has been.
Well, I mean, in saying more to this, there's a need to have a policy guideline and also have a policy debt. So there's a more reason why he would establish a desk at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations that wings the mandate of the people to be able to take care of this and also deal largely with the unemployment menace that is, it's not just the nurses front, but also the teacher front. A lot of them, after teacher training or after nursing training, they are not able, to have direct employment sometimes. Postings and other things do take a year or even more. And so this will be able to solve to a large extent what it is. On the issue of the acceptance of the message, yes, a lot of the people are making sense of what it is. Their hope and their prayer is that it will not be the usual talk of politicians. At least many have been saying that, yes, they've had some experience of what the NCC said they were going to do. They've not been able to do this, but they believe that, yes, of course, John Mahama can do it. The only limitation has to do with the fact that he's got only 4 years. And within the 4 years, there's a lot that has to be done. And that lot includes also a lot of rot in the system. There's a need for him to do a correction of all the. So their prayer is that he's able to put the job together.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Komla Klucher. He is with the former president on his tour. Also, leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Trematin, begins day two of his Greater Accra market tour, and we'll bring you more of that in our subsequent bulletins. Now, it's one of those stories that would send the world into a frenzy, and it did. Imagine hugging a tree for 16 hours. That was what a Ugandan environmental activist did, and she's in the Guinness Book of Records. Faith Patricia Ariokot, 29, wrapped her arms around a tree trunk for 16 hours, 6 seconds to become the first official holder of the record. She attempted this challenge to encourage others to plant trees and to highlight the need for humans to protect them. The current craze to enter the Guinness Book of Records seems to be occupying the minds of many Africans, including Ghanaians. What do you think?
Ghanaians are overdoing this Guinness Book of Record thing too much. I think they should calm down a bit. Every time you wake up, somebody's trying to break another record. And I don't think it's not even funny, but I don't know if they're looking for publicity or the stardom. I don't know what they're even looking for. I think they should just cut it and then limit it. And let's focus on something else.
I think people are just overdoing it. Yes, for the sake that they all want to be known, like the fame, popularity. People just want to do it for the sake of it. Those who started with an intention, not for the sake of popularity, but to make an impact, to make a name that, okay, it is possible. But for now, from Efua Santua's era, that I can see the massive support she got from Ghanaians and how the whole thing unfolded, that has generated into all this left, right, center, people doing all kinds of things just for the sake of it. And so for me, people should...
Your thoughts there, and that's how we end the news here on 3FM. Our top story: Information Minister designate Fatimata Abubakar justifies reappointment of Ken Oforiatta and gives insight into what Ghanaians should be expecting as the president readies to present his last but one State of the Nation address. She says security and economy will feature heavily. My name is My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
The 3FM Gobe Festival 2024. Gobe Lovers and Gobe Eaters Association. Time now so. Get ready for the biggest Gobe event in Ghana. On Saturday, 16th March at the Accra Interchange Park. From 9 a.m., come experience a food festival interlaced with fun activities and music performances like never before. Be there to savor different flavors and combos of Gobe, like Gobe and rice, or Gobe and kinky. Throw some pepper on the side, avocado in the center circle, and eggs on the top corner. Or last year was terrific. This year will be a showdown. Don't miss out on the gastronomic delights and vibrant atmosphere. Are you a Gobe seller or you know anyone? Call now to register 0532-200-927 or 0531-100-927. Let's link up. The 3FM Gobe Festival 2024. Your Gobe join to the B. Join us on Saturday, 16th March at 9 a.m. and let's transform the Accra Interchange Park into a Gobe lovers paradise. 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station.
Sponsored by Glovo. In Kulinu.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time now for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana's Central Bank Governor Dr. Ernest Addison calls for investment in fintech to unlock its potential for national development.
To a great degree, the lack of funding can significantly stunt the growth of fintech movement in several ways.
Also, interest rates on treasury bills continue the downward trajectory. We have the details. My name is Menu Afo. We have details of these stories and more lined up for you. Stay with me. For your time. In our first story, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has emphasized the importance of investing in fintech to achieve its desired impact. The governor asserts the need to bridge the gap between fintech companies and investors through improved information sharing. This aims to stimulate the payments ecosystem and unlock the full potential of fintech startups to contribute meaningfully to national development. Dr. Addison spoke at the launch of the 3i Africa Summit 2024, scheduled for May 2024.
To a great degree, the lack of funding can significantly stunt the growth of fintech movement in several ways. Without sufficient capital, brilliant ideas and prototypes of fintech startup solutions with the potential to address the diverse financial service needs have failed to progress to production. Furthermore, a fintech is only as strong as its members, and in that vein, a lack of funding could ultimately impact its ability to attract and retain premium talent. The regulatory aspect is another major reason we cannot ignore the issues of deficient funding in the fintech space. This could hinder fintech companies' ability to navigate regulatory requirements and meet compliance standards, which we all agree are non-negotiables, especially in Ghana's and Africa's financial industry.
That was Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison. Also, Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has expressed government's commitment to deploying innovative solutions that drive financial inclusion and unlock new avenues for growth.
Within that context, the 3I Africa Summit emerges as a pivotal platform to address the critical opportunities and challenges at the confluence of policy, finance, and technology. For us policymakers, our ambition is to ensure we can actively shape the pace of digital transformation while ensuring that inclusion and sustainability form the core of our policy agenda. Consequently, across government, we are committed to deploying innovative solutions that can drive financial inclusion, bolster economic resilience, and unlock new avenues for growth. However, ladies and gentlemen, achieving such a feat requires a concerted effort across multiple domains, and it demands a synergistic approach involving partnerships with the private sector, civil society, and the international community. At the heart of the 3I Africa Summit is a commitment to driving these essential dialogues and partnerships centered on delivering sustainable long-term capital allocation that can transform Ghana and Africa's economic landscape. Our country, Ghana, is at a critical point in our development trajectory, and we need partnerships that support a growth framework that can meet our country's and the continent's ambitions for decades. As we look towards 2030, we must be guided by a vision of an Africa where fintech flourishes and serves as a cornerstone for inclusive and sustainable economic development, with Ghana positioned as the plug-and-play destination on the continent. Around that objective, I genuinely hope this summit will catalyze the strategic partnerships, innovative solutions, and policy frameworks critical to realizing this vision.
You heard the voice of Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. Away from that, interest rates on the Treasury market eased for the 8th consecutive week, although the decline was marginal. Per the auction results by the central bank, yields on the 91-day bill went down to 27.82%. That of the 182-day bill, however, remained at 29.74%, while that of the 364-day bill declined to 30.29% from 30.89% previously. Meanwhile, government recorded an oversubscription of about 11.2% with a target of 6.26 billion cedis. A chunk of the bids were from the 91-day bill, from which government realized about 3.41 billion cedis. From the 182-day bill, government realized about 1.81 billion cedis, whereas for the one-year bill, the uptake was about 1.74 billion cedis. All bids tendered were accepted, earning for government about 6.97 billion cedis at the end of the auction. We'll now shift your attention to the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry as it anticipates proactive measures from the new finance minister to address the sector's financial challenges. With the government owing over 15 billion cedis to its members for past contracts, CEO Emmanuel Cherry emphasizes the urgency for funds to be disbursed to contractors, especially in light of the upcoming election year. Speaking to 3 Business, Cherry underlines the importance of Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam ensuring prompt payments for contractors for the government's benefit in an election year.
The Finance Minister has a lot of work to do as we speak, because the debt portfolio on the construction industry alone is something that, to honestly speaking, is quite huge. So he needs to find a way to raise the requisite funding to make sure that he closes that gaps and then go in for new projects, because we are in election year. Government of the day also need those new projects or the ongoing projects completed so that they can at least use that to do their campaign. If it's not completed, the community should say it. The earlier they start, the better for them. Because if you should wait till the second quarter or third quarter, people will therefore take it as if it's for campaign, election gameplay. So therefore, they should start as quickly as possible. We are ready, irrespective of whatever political party that is in power. All we need is to help whatsoever authority that is in power to develop the infrastructure space of the country.
Well, that over there was Emmanuel Cherry. And that brings us to the end of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Kindly log on to our website www.3news.com for more business stories. My name is Menu Afo. Do stay tuned. Black Rasta will soon join in for Urban Blend.
Accra gets busy on this